All right, so today's lesson is going to be about introductory clauses, and we're going to start with a little inquiry, which means like I'm going to ask you to make some observations and look for some patterns so that we can come up with some rules or statements. So instead of just me giving you the information, I'm going to ask you to think about things and make some observations so we can arrive at some conclusions on our own. So first things first, I want you to think about, what do you notice? I'm going to give you some sentences. After the game ended, Jeff bought ice cream. When the girls arrived, they were very late. Until you start studying, this will be hard. Because you were late, you missed all of the instructions. So as you're looking at this, you might be thinking about how the sentences are written. Do they have anything in common? Do you see anything repeated? Hopefully you've noticed that there is a comma in every single sentence. Then if you looked to the left of the comma, so right here after the game ended, you might ask yourself something about like, what after the game ended, is that just a collection of words, or is that like a sentence? Or you might look to the right of the sentence, or right of the comma. Jeff bought ice cream. Is that just a collection of words, or is that a sentence? So after you've been looking for a while, hopefully you're seeing that before the comma is not a complete sentence. After the comma is a sentence. When the girls arrived, not complete. They were very late, complete. They is the subject, were is the verb. Until you start studying, incomplete. This will be hard, complete. Because you were late, incomplete. You missed all of the instructions, complete. Okay? So hopefully you notice some of those things. Now let's look at what's the difference between number 1 and number 2. So here are the two sentences. After the game ended, comma, Jeff bought ice cream. Jeff bought ice cream after the game ended. What's the difference here? Hopefully you're noticing that the comma, the first one has a comma, the second one doesn't. But you also should have noticed that after the game ended, just moves behind Jeff bought ice cream in this second sentence. It's all the same words, but now they're in a different order. And when I reverse the order, what happens to the comma? It goes away. What about 3 and 4? Until you start studying, comma, this will be hard. This will be hard until you start studying. Now look, until you start studying is that incomplete phrase. This will be hard is the complete sentence. If I switch the order of them, what happened to my comma? The comma went away. So what conclusion about punctuation can you draw from those sentence sets? So let's go back and look at them. We're trying to draw a conclusion about punctuation. And by punctuation, I mean this comma. Now, if we were to create a rule about this comma, what would it be? It would be that if there's an opener to start, we're going to have a comma after it and then a sentence. So an opener could be a dependent clause or a fragment. An opener cannot stand on its own. An opener is extra information. It might start with what we call an AWOOBUS word, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. But then the sentence, notice the sentence is in green. It can stand on its own. It's independent. It can stand on its own. It has a subject and a verb, and it expresses a complete thought. So this in red is incomplete. It's like stop. It's not totally complete. And then also it's extra. The sentence, though, behind the comma, that's where the subject and verb are. It can stand on its own. If we got rid of everything in the opener, then we would still be left with the sentence. There are some great clue words to help us out to find out how to punctuate, and they're called the AWOOBUS words: as, after, although, while, when, until, because, before, if, and since. These are the AWOOBUS words. They're also called subordinating conjunctions. That's like their technical English teacher term. They begin a dependent clause. Dependent clauses cannot stand alone. They depend on a whole other sentence in order to help them be correct. But these AWOOBUS words also give us a clue whether or not to place a comma in the sentence or not. So write this down in your notes. An AWOOBUS to begin equals a comma within. An AWOOBUS in the middle, no need to fiddle. It means there's no need for that comma. So if your sentence starts with any of these words, as, after, although, while, when, until, because, before, if, since, you are going to have a comma in the sentence. If your sentence has one of these in the middle, then you don't need to fiddle with that comma. There's no need, okay? So when we go back and we look at that, notice after is one of those AWOOBUS words. As, after, although. After starts the sentence, we have a comma within. Until starts the sentence, as, after, although, until, as, after, although, while, when, until, because, before, if, and since. Until is one of our AWOOBUS words. Notice we have a comma in it. AWOOBUS to begin, comma within. AWOOBUS in the middle, no need to fiddle. AWOOBUS to begin, comma within. AWOOBUS in the middle, no need to fiddle. So now you are going to go through the Pear Deck slides and you are going to answer these questions. Okay, you're going to be on the lookout for the AWOOBUS words. You're also going to go back and you're going to start putting the comma in the right place. So remember, always check to see, do you have an AWOOBUS to begin? If so, then you're going to need a comma within. An AWOOBUS in the middle, no need to fiddle. Okay? You're going to do each of these. You're going to have a question that pops up on the side, and that's where you're going to input your answer. Okay? If you have any questions, make sure to reach out and ask your teacher.